Good day everyone, this is Teacher Nori. In this video, we are going to discuss about interactions in estuarine ecosystems. First, what is an ecosystem? An ecosystem is an area where biotic and abiotic components live and interact. The biotic components are the living things in an area, while the abiotic components are the non-living things in an area. According to the National Ocean Services of the NOAA, an estuary is a partially enclosed body of water and its surrounding coastal habitats, where salt water from the ocean typically mixes with the fresh water from rivers or streams. They are classified by the geology that defines them or the ways in which water circulates throughout them. The habitats that surround an estuary, as well as the populations of plants and animals that inhabit them, are especially adapted to the environment. Estuaries can be divided into three: supratidal, where it is located towards the upland and receives moisture from waves. The animals and plants that can tolerate brackish water can live there. Intertidal, these are areas exposed during low tides, like rocky cliffs and beaches. And subtidal, which are always submerged in water and can contain coral reefs and all sorts of marine life. There are five types of estuarine ecosystem. The first one is salt marshes. These areas in the estuary are filled with seawater during high tides and drained during low tides. They are salty because they are flooded with seawater every day. They are marshy because they are filled with decomposing plant matter. Organisms found in salt marshes are clams, mussels, oysters, crabs, snails, shrimps, and bloodworms. Plants found in salt marshes are sea grasses and other plants that are tolerant from seawater. Salt-tolerant plants are called halophytes. Another type of estuarine ecosystem are the mangrove forests. These are areas in the sanctuary that are filled with mangrove trees. These trees are adapted to salt water and play a significant role in the environment. Mangrove forests protect the coasts against the erosion caused by waves, winds, and tides. They also protect coral reefs and seagrass beds from silting and deposition of sand. They are also breeding grounds for different varieties of fish and shellfish. Other organisms found in the mangrove ecosystems are algae, barnacles, oysters, shrimps, lobsters, and crabs. Still another type of estuarine ecosystem, or the third type, are the mud flats or tidal flats. These are areas in estuaries where mud is deposited from the seas or rivers. These areas are submerged and exposed continuously. They are usually the favorite areas of migratory birds, crabs, sand dollars, mussels, clams, mollusks, shellfish, and some fish. Algae, like sea lettuce and sea spaghetti, provide food for the herbivores. Another type of estuarine ecosystem are the rocky shores. These are areas in estuary where solid rocks are found. Animals found in the rocky shores are planktons, brittle stars, starfish, hermit crab, barnacles, limpets, mollusks, periwinkle, shore crabs, shrimps, and prawns. Since many organisms in rocky shores are herbivores, plants like algae, seaweed, and kelp provide food for them. Large predators in the rocky shores are fish and migratory birds. The fifth type of estuarine ecosystem is the coral reefs. These areas in estuaries are always covered with water. These areas are part of the subtidal zone where biodiversity is rich. Biodiversity refers to the abundance of different living organisms living in an area. Coral reefs provide shelter to thousands of fish. The corals themselves are animals that feed on planktons. These corals become reefs that protect the coast from strong waves and currents. However, it is very sensitive. An abrupt change in water temperature can kill the reef animals. To have a better understanding of the interactions between different species in a community or in an ecosystem, we need to look at the food web. The food web is an important tool for illustrating feeding relationships among species within a community, revealing species interactions and community structure, and understanding the dynamics of energy transfer in an ecosystem. The food web in an estuarine ecosystem can tell us the different trophic levels involved. This is an example of a food web in an estuarine ecosystem. We can see here that the main source of energy is the sun or the sunlight, and the main producers are the planktons. All of the other animals there are consumers. So they can be based on their trophic levels or their part or their um, hierarchical arrangement in the food chain. They can be primary consumers, they can be secondary consumers, or tertiary consumers. The trophic level is the arrangement of organisms in an ecosystem based on their level in the food chain. The food chain is a part of the food web. It shows a series of organisms dependent on the next as a source of food. If we go back to the given example of a food web, we can get several food chains from it. Examples of the food chain from the food web are here. The first one is the plankton as the producer, eaten by the mussels, and then the mussels will be eaten by the crab. As you can see here, the arrowhead points to the animal or to the organism that eats the or receives the other organism. The second example is the plankton eaten by the shrimp eaten by the salmon, and the salmon eaten by the heron. In this illustration, or in these food chains, we can see here that the plankton is the producer based on its trophic level. The mussels and the shrimp are the primary consumers. The crab and the salmon are the secondary consumers. And the heron is the tertiary consumer. And that is the end of our video. Thank you for watching. Until next time.